Hey everyone, it has been way too long. I have really missed you. I took a bit of a hiatus this summer because a lot was going on in life. I just needed to recharge my batteries. Some exciting things happened. We had our wedding celebration, which I'll tell you about. It really was the summer of weddings for me. There were 3 weddings, including mine, that were just like every couple of weeks. So I thought I would just get ready with you today, show you some of the things I've been loving, and just have a casual get ready with me and fill you in on life. If you've been following me on Instagram, I'm sure you've seen more of my life updates there. But one of the big things that happened this summer was that we finally were able to have our wedding celebration. Long story short, Sean and I, we had our wedding planned in October of 2020. It was canceled. And then we ended up having a very small ceremony with just our parents and a couple of our siblings. That was in 2021. But we never got to make up for the reception that we hoped to have with our friends and family and just wanting to, celebrate and mark this moment with them. So we finally decided to do it and just go for it after lots of humming and hawing about should we do it? Should we not? Do people still want to celebrate us? But we did. We had it right outside of Zion National Park in Utah, which is a very special place for us. And it was absolutely stunning. This Get Ready With Me is not going to be wedding centered, but I do have some details and things I want to share about the beauty looks, the accessories, the dress, the style, all of that. We did have a coordinator the day of, but I actually planned the wedding myself. So I feel like I've had a lot of experience when it comes to planning, canceling, replanning, canceling. We've planned 5 different weddings in our heads. But this was finally the thing, and it was really special and beautiful. So maybe I'll share more about that in a dedicated video, but that's the big thing that's been going on in life lately. So I've been really, really lazy when it comes to makeup lately. I think just because it's been summer, it's still very hot here, and I don't know, I go through phases of makeup minimalism, then maximalism, but one of the releases that has been perfect for me, that's really aligned with where I'm at right now, is Ciele. Ciele is an SPF-based makeup brand. It's actually Nikki DeRoost's new makeup brand. It's available exclusively at Sephora. If you're not familiar with Nikki DeRoost, she actually was one of the original founders of Rowan Beauty. Those really fun eyeshadow quads that they make. I love those. And she's an incredible makeup artist. I've met her before. She's very, very kind and just stunning in person. So I knew this release was going to be good. So they came out with a skin tint, a powder, and liquid blushes, which I'll be using in today's Get Ready With Me. The Tint and Protect Serum SPF 50, these are all mineral-based SPFs. This has been my go-to, and it's so good, and it's so easy. They also sent over the cutest, squishiest little sponge. So this has about medium coverage. Looks like this frosted glass bottle, and then the cap comes off and you get the little dropper. I don't typically love droppers, but I actually find that it is useful with this sort of formula because you don't need a ton. I find a little bit actually goes a pretty long way, and because I've been lazy, what I do is I just put a couple of drops on my sponge. I haven't prepped my skin or anything. It's actually the afternoon. I did my skincare this morning, but this has SPF, so it's going to touch up my SPF. I literally just kind of dot it into the skin and I'm gonna pounce. And this has the most beautiful serum-y fluid consistency on the skin. It does set down. I actually don't even necessarily need a powder with it. It just gives you the most beautiful, blurred, evened out skin. I also find that this gives me such a nice glow throughout the day without being greasy or heavy or oily. A lot of times I find that skin tints with SPF can be a little bit on that emollient side, and this doesn't do that, but it still gives my skin a glow. I even dab this across the eyes. When I wear this lately, I don't even wear concealer. I am going to today because there's one I want to show you, but it is the perfect lazy person's everyday makeup, and I've been lazy when it comes to my makeup. I do find sponge application is the fastest, but I can also apply this with a brush. I can apply it with fingers. It looks good any way I use it. And I think you can see it just evens out my skin tone. I can build up coverage if I want to with my fingers, like I'm doing right here, Has such a nice glide across the skin. The brand does say this is not meant to be replacing your sunscreen. This is just additional SPF. And I think that's really smart. I love the idea that I can sort of use this to touch up my SPF throughout the day if I don't want to go for a full liquid SPF reapplication. This just adds a little bit of extra protection. Well, not just a little bit, it's actually SPF 50, so it's like decent coverage, decent protection. So I'm wearing the shade 4. This comes in 13 shades from light to very, very deep. Very impressed, but shade 4 is like the perfect match for me right now. I'm actually a little bit pale because I had a laser treatment, which I'll be telling you guys about, that caused my skin to flake off. That's what it's supposed to do. It didn't accidentally do that. It does make your skin shed. So I feel like I lost a bit of my tan, and this is just kind of my like untanned skin tone. Most days when I've been wearing makeup, I kind of just do this, and then I do some lip balm, maybe some brows, and that's like all I've been doing. But I am going to show you some of my other favorites. For higher coverage days, I have been loving the Tower 28 new concealer. What is this called? The Swipe On? Glide On something? It's the serum concealer. I have 2 shades, LBC and EP. I have filmed swatches and like a dedicated review of this on Instagram. Let me just show you the shades real quick. I love this formula. It is called a medium coverage, but I think it's pretty full coverage. It's definitely buildable, and it is a really thin, sort of fluid, serum-y consistency. It's absolutely stunning. A little goes a long way. It has a lot of stretch, and it has this almost self-setting quality to it. This is EP. This is LBC. I'm gonna go in with a little bit of that lighter shade just around the eyes. And I'm just gonna take that CL sponge and just pounce it in. You can see that's a pretty brightening shade on me. It's not typically something I go for around the eyes, but again, like I mentioned, I'm a little bit paler than I usually am this time of year. But yeah, I just did 2 dots and it's very, very brightening. Doesn't crease. It doesn't even really need powder. I find that it is sort of self-setting. So for a serum concealer, I typically think of something with less coverage that's more, I don't know, skin tinty, but this actually has some like serious oomph and I like that. I'll just show you some coverage like here, around the nose. And this blends out really nicely, again, with a sponge or with a brush or with fingers. So I mentioned it's been the summer of weddings. We had a wedding every 2 or 3 weeks this whole summer, including ours, one of my best friends, and one of Sean's best friends. So they've all been like important weddings that we didn't want to miss. So it's been a lot of traveling, honestly, and suddenly I'm here and it's September and we're looking at fall, we're looking at the holidays and just like wrapping up the rest of the year. Very, very disorienting, honestly. But I am excited to settle into sort of a cozier home vibe. I've been doing a lot of decorating, a lot of gardening. I've been really, really into gardening. I think I'm taking sort of the energy that I had been putting into wedding planning and putting it into like home and just creating a nice grounding energy for myself and for our house. I have been posting some like gardening stuff, some home stuff over on Instagram, but if you're curious to see that, let me know. I think it's been a nice mix up for me to keep things, I don't know, interesting, to have a little variation in the content I create. Yeah, so let me know. For bronzer, I am really enjoying the new Phytosurgence Spectral Sunlight Cream Bronzers. These are super unique. If you've tried Phytosurgence, you will know that they do really different formulas from everyone else. They're a Canadian-based indie brand and they're near and dear to my heart. So this is a release that I know they spent forever formulating, and this bronzer comes in many, many shades. I want to say like 10 shades or something. And it's so unique because look at this. It's like a balm. They actually recommend that you do not use fingers and that you use a stippling brush because it is a stiffer consistency. If you've tried their highlighters, it's similar to that. And I have the shades 3, that's 3, and shade 5. Sorry, mine is kind of grimy because I use 3 a lot. But these are the 2 shades and they both have a golden undertone. So what I've been doing is taking a stippling brush like this. This one's just from e.l.f. I think it was in like a holiday brush collection or something like that. And I just really work it into the pan and you can really get in there. and pick up the product. And even though it looks like I'm picking up a lot of product, it actually is not that way at all. You'll see. I just kind of stipple it onto the skin. You can see it's very, very gradual, but it does have that golden undertone. You can even do a little bit of this. And what I love about this is that, I don't know, I think using a lighter tone than I typically go for, I like how buildable it is, that I can really control the application. And it doesn't look like makeup-y. Because the texture is so thin, it looks on the skin just like skin and not like you're wearing makeup, like perhaps with a powder bronzer or even some cream bronzers that are really emollient. They look makeup-y, you know? But this just has a very natural skin finish. The tone is perfect. I love it so much. Also, because it is so imperceptible, I feel like I can sweep it on to sort of warm up the entire skin tone the way a bronzer should be used, honestly. But I can sort of use it wherever without it looking like bronzer, if you know what I mean. Very unique, very different in terms of formula from the other cream bronzers that I have and love. It's almost like the opposite of the Makeup by Mario Skin Enhancer. That one is creamy, emollient, glossy. This one is stiff, drier, more of a natural finish, but I love both of them equally. They're just kind of different beasts, really. If you do have oily skin and you have a hard time with cream bronzers, but you want to use a cream, try this. It's like a stiff cream balm. I don't know how else to describe it. We're going to get into blush now, and I'm gonna go back to Ciele Cosmetics. This is the Blush and Protect SPF 50. It's a liquid blush that comes in 4 shades. I have the shade Bahati, which is this sort of nudie rose shade. It's got a doe foot applicator, looks like this. This is the one I've been using the most for sure. And then I also have the shade Elodie, which is more of a coral, looks like that. They're both stunning and actually very pigmented. I was not expecting that. I don't know, when I think of SPF makeup, I think of much more natural makeup brands. But of course, with Nikki DeRoost at the helm, this is very much a real serious makeup brand with real performance and real longevity, and it looks so good on the skin. And these are some of the longest lasting liquid blushes in my collection. So I'm just gonna take Bahati like that into my sponge and just stamp it across the cheeks. Yeah, longest lasting liquid blushes in my collection. I was not expecting these to be that long lasting. They still look, I don't know, like skin, glowy across the skin. They're very blurring across pores. But I wasn't expecting this kind of longevity. And once they set down, they really do set down. And like you can even see it's leaving a bit of a stain on my hand where I originally swatched it, even though I'm wiping at it. I think that will show you how much it really does stick to the skin. I find with this formula, I don't even have to worry about it fading or becoming patchy. It truly just stays where it's put. It's the weirdest and best thing. And I haven't really reached for my other blushes since I got this in maybe, I don't know, was it 2 weeks ago? Something like that. I think a lot of people are going to love this because, I don't know, it's hard to find a liquid blush formula that's easy to use, not too pigmented, has SPF. It gives you that protection. It's long lasting, doesn't fade. It just does everything I want it to do. And I like this shade because it's one I can really easily blend into my bronzer so that it has this really even blend across the skin. All right, finishing off base, I have the Ciele Filter and Protect SPF 30 powder. To be honest, I actually don't even really need powder with this makeup because it is so long lasting, and the laser treatment that I had a few weeks ago, the Moxie laser, does make me a bit drier, so I haven't been quite as oily as I typically would be. But I do want to show this to you. So it looks like this. I have the shade 2. It comes in 3 shades. It's a very beautiful, generous package. And it also does come with a little puff. So I'm just going to pick up the tiniest amount and only really set around my T-zone. This does have actually a really nice blurring, setting effect without being overly matte, and it does give you that kind of really polished look. I feel like this also even looks really good over texture. For example, I have like some dry patches here where an old breakout is healing, and it just kind of smooths over that area. So I'm really just setting my nose and the center of my face, and I'll probably set around my eyes, across my eyelids because I have oily eyelids. I think this is a really nice way, again, to get a little bit of extra SPF protection in your routine if you need it, or if you need to touch up throughout the day. It's a really nice option to have. But see what I mean? It just kind of like blurred the center of my face, like the pores. Cheeks I didn't powder, but it just blends seamlessly. Moving on to eyes, this is a release I've been wishing for forever. If you've watched my Merit brand review video, which a lot of you have, you'll know I expressed a wish for cream eyeshadows, and Merit did in fact deliver. So these are the Merit Solo Shadows. I have 2 shades of them, and these are a really interesting cream to powder hybrid formula. They look like this, really beautifully packaged, and they are matte, and they are super budge proof. So this is the shade Mid-Century. It's a really nice like camely brown. And this shade is called Social. It's so interesting. It's described as a mauve, like a soft mauve online, but I find it actually blends out to almost this taupey grayish, but it has that purpley undertone, and it's really unlike anything I have in my collection. I didn't know if I would love this, but I actually do really like it. And they came out with a brush. This is their number 2 brush. You can see it's been well loved already. It's double-sided. One side looks like that for blending and one side for defining. I did film an Instagram reel using both of these, so I'll post that here. Today I'm swatching and unboxing the new Merit Solo Shadows and their double-ended eyeshadow brush. The Solo Shadows are a cream to powder formula with a diffused matte finish. Mid-Century is a warm camel tone, and you can see as I'm swatching that they blend out to a natural look, but they're also very buildable if you want more pigmentation. Social is a soft mauve, and all of these shades have really nuanced, complex undertones. You can also see how budge-proof these are just about a minute or so after applying. I'm gonna go in with, I think, Mid-Century today. This is, I don't know, it's just such a nice, easy, everyday shade. It's a stiffer formula, I think you can see in the pan. And this brush is really perfect for this formula because it's stiff enough to pick product up, but it also has some give to blend out. These look really pigmented when they're swatched and when you pick it up in the pot, but they actually blend out to be surprisingly sheer, and they're very low effort. So I've just been kind of swiping this across my entire eyelid like that, and you can see how much it really does sheer out quickly. Like, that's the fastest eyeshadow application. And honestly, on most days, this would be just fine, but I am gonna finesse the blend because we're here. Same thing on this side. You can just kind of swipe on however you choose. And the thing that I like about this application is that when I swipe on, it's not like the pigment just stays there. I actually do have time to blend it out and to manipulate the color where I want the color to go. Even without primer, I didn't use eyeshadow primer, I just blended out a little concealer over my eyes. It does not fade. It's the weirdest thing. It doesn't crease. It actually doesn't even feel like anything on the eyes because it's a very thin formula and it doesn't move around. I'm just going to connect the outer corner. I think this is a great formula even for people who maybe don't feel confident in their eyeshadow skills or don't want a full eyeshadow palette. I feel like for the most part, a lot of people have moved away from eyeshadow palettes, myself included, with a few exceptions. And I think the shades that they've curated are really interesting. They're kind of complex and murky and sort of unexpected, and they're perfect for fall. Actually, let me show you Social since we're here. I'll just deepen my outer corner right here. you can see it's like this really interesting taupey shade. And even though it's purpley, it's not like weirdly gray or overly, I don't know, cool toned. I feel like purples on my skin have a tendency to go gray, but this one doesn't. It actually blends out, I don't know, just to this really interesting, like almost putty like shade. And then you can definitely flip it around. And let me use this to sort of line my eyes. You definitely get more pigmentation, obviously, with the thinner side. I'm so happy Merit's come out with more brushes too. I hope they continue to give us more brushes. I would love more cheek brushes, honestly. I find that their brushes are really high quality and have a similar blend to my natural bristle brushes, even though these are synthetic. Just a little on my lower lash line. If you have brown eyes, this shade will be really, really nice for you, because it does bring out the warmth and sort of richness of brown shades. They have come out with mostly neutrals, but they do have some pops of color. There's a deep smoky brown or a smoky green that I've been really curious about, and I am interested in their like deepest shade of brown as well. But these are both perfect sort of everyday shades for me. Just be aware when you're buying them that they blend out much sheerer than they appear in the pan, and then they appear sort of online even. Just applying some mascara. I've been really still very much into the Talk Beauty TOK mascara. I think I reviewed this a couple months ago and it's still been going strong. I love this mascara. It gives you such a nice hold on your curl, but more than anything, I love the way it combs through lashes. It has a very spiky wand, and I find that it actually catches on my baby tiny, tiny lashes so well, and it gives me lots of nice, like, fluttery separation. This is what the wand looks like. Hopefully you can see how spiky it is. Ow. I do still use my favorite lash primer. I'll never give this up, the Peri Para one. And I also really like that it doesn't smudge, but it's really easy to remove at the end of the day. I don't need to worry about it pulling out my lashes as I'm trying to get it off or anything like that. It just comes off really nicely with my regular double cleanse. A moment for Nixie Strawberry Hibiscus. It's been my flavor of the last couple of weeks. It's really good. You know I'm a sparkling water connoisseur. All right, let's talk brows. You guys know I do love my sort of laminated brow look, but it is kind of high maintenance. And I think I've been feeling a bit more of a natural brow and just embracing the natural growth direction of my brows. So like a lot of East Asian people, I do have an arched brow, but it's a little bit straighter, and my brow hairs grow upward towards the front of my brow, and then about midway through the brow, they start to grow downward. Now, when I laminate my brows, I sort of plaster them down so that they all bluff upward. But I've just been embracing the natural growth of my brows. It's just easier to not fight them every day. So I've been loving this brow duo from M Cosmetics. It's not new, but it's newer to me. I've started using them the last couple of months. This is the brow cream, Micro Fluff Brow Cream in the shade Universal Taupe. Most days I've only been using this. It has a teeny tiny spoolie. And then if I want to, I don't know, sculpt them a little bit more, I've been going in with their fine liner brow pencil in the shade Deep Taupe. And this shape is really nice because it's very fine, but it's flat on one side while still being really, really skinny. I hope you can see it. And so it gives you those those hair-like strokes. But most days I've just been doing this, and I sort of comb through, going with the natural direction of my brow hairs. So in the front, I fluff up, and then once I get to the arch, I just kind of fluff sideways and then through my tail. See what I mean? It's just so easy. It gives you a little bit of tint, but it's not like I'm trying to reorient the natural direction of my brow hairs. Also, this shade isn't too deep. I really, really like the ashiness of this shade without being like black. It's also really easy to keep building. It doesn't get too crunchy or crispy. Even midday, if I want to touch up my brow with this after I've applied it in the morning, I can still go in and do that. And I think that's like a nice quality of this. You definitely can't do that with laminated brows, you know? Once they're laminated, you cannot mess with them or else they will all sort of flake off. And I do think this still has enough hold that, especially towards the front of my brow, if I want to fluff it up and add more product, I can definitely do that. I could definitely stop there, but let me just show you what it looks like with the pencil. And lately, I mentioned I've been liking a straighter brow. So I just kind of sweep it horizontally through the brow. Just filling in where there's any gaps with short hair-like strokes. And this is key, like my arch right here, I do have a natural arch, but rather than going up and down, I'm just kind of going straight across the brow. And I'm not extending the tail all too much, but it just gives a little bit more structure compared to this side. So I'm not abandoning, laminated brows forever, but I just wanted something fresh. And I really feel like brows are the pants of the face. And what I mean by that is that you can always tell what year it is by the brow trends. When you look at a filled in Anastasia dip brow look, it's like 2014 to 2016. And when you see a laminated brow look, I feel like you're gonna know it was, the 2020s, early 2020s. And now I'm sort of slightly moving away from that, or just moving away from that as the only brow look, let's say. Okay, for lips, I already had some lip balm on. It's mostly off now, but I have been loving the Naturium Fido Glow lip balm. This is the shade Goji that I had on. It's mostly like a slightly pinkish lip tone. These are not very, very pigmented. They're mostly clear. I do have a Naturium code now. I think it's Becca15 for 15% off, which is really nice. For lips, I'm gonna go in with one of the Exa lip pencils. These are new. It's the All Smiles Bare lip pencil. And these are a classic true pencil, like a wooden pencil. These are my two shades that I've been wearing the most. This one's called Bare Your Soul. And they are pigmented, they're matte. And then this is the shade Bare Your Love. So one's a more brownie nude and one is a more pinky nude, but those are my everyday sort of go-to shades right now. I think I'm gonna go in with Bare Your Love, which is the first shade I swatched. It's a little bit more caramely, whereas this one's a little bit more pinky, because I'm gonna pair it with the Milk Odyssey lip oil. These are new. This is the shade Trek. And it has a little bit of shimmer in it, but once it's on the lips, you don't really see it. I did lip swatch all of these. I love the formula. It really stays on your lips, but it's not sliding around. It's not thin, but it's also not sticky. It just hits that right balance. So I'm gonna pair these together. Personally, when it comes to lip pencils, I usually do like something on the more real pencil side versus like a gel lip or like a push up or a twist up lip crayon. I find that these just tend to be a lot more long lasting. I think you can see this is a really nice like lip contour shade for me. Very similar to my favorite lip pencils, the Victoria Beckham Beauty lip pencil in the shade 02, Makeup Forever Anywhere Caffeine. This one's slightly cooler toned than that. I'm just gonna blur out the edge a little. I don't want too crisp of a lip line since I am using a lip oil and not like a lipstick. And then these have the most satisfying chubby doe foot applicator. It has a little bit of an angle, which makes application really nice, but it's also pointy on top. And that's nice too. So, Truck is on the more pigmented side. There are some more sheer ones in this range, and there are ones with and without shimmer. There's also a blue glitter one, which is really fun. Haven't had an occasion to wear it, but it's a fun addition to the line. All right, I think that's it for this Get Ready With Me. Again, these are all easy, low effort, but high impact sort of products that I've been reaching for a ton. I feel like now that I'm back, I have a ton of stuff to catch up on. On the docket next is just a huge roundup video of my favorites. I feel like even though it's only been, 2 months, that's still an entire season basically worth of products. And I'm also thinking about, transitional makeup, getting into fall makeup looks, some fall fashion stuff, skincare, just lots of updates all around. So if there's anything you really, really want to see, if you want to see me review anything, do let me know. Oh, I also did just get the Danessa Myricks palette in the mail. This is her new Groundwork Defining Neutrals palette. Look how beautiful this is. This is just a preview. Sorry to tease you. This has 2 formulas in all of these beautiful neutral shades. So there's this velvet creme sort of thing. What is they call it? Oh, it's a velvet pomade. And then one side is a powder. But just look how stunning that is. Really excited to get into this. This is definitely a multi-use palette. You can use it for brows, you could use it for contour, you could use it for eyeshadow, eyeliner, all of that. So I'll do a review of this for sure. And lots of PR things that are coming out, holiday releases that are coming out that we'll go over. So I'm excited to be back. Again, I've really missed you guys. Thanks for sticking around, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.